5-0. Item 9, approval of the consent calendar. Motion by Mr. Castillo, seconded by Mr. Contarche. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion carried 5-0. And I have approval of the official proceedings for October 19th, 2021 regular meeting, and October 21st, 2021 special meeting. Motion by Mr. Castillo, seconded by Mr. Kelly. Please vote. Motion carried 5-0. Any departments wish to make an announcement, Madam Clerk?
We have two departments. We have HR for the Guaguayo.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. We're here to make a couple of announcements. Employee of the Month recognition today for the month of September 2021. Emma Alatorre, she's our accounting technician, treasurer tax collector. And I believe she's
on
via Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, Emma.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, congratulations on becoming an employee of the month for the month of September. Anything you'd like to say to the board or to the audience?
I appreciate the opportunity of joining the team with the tax collectors. They've been amazing, and I feel super blessed to be part of such a great team. Super excited, I was not expecting it at all.
I'm sure it's well deserved. Thank you very much, Mr. Royal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We also have Ms. Suzanne from Munis. I don't know if she would like to provide any comment.
Hello, good morning, board, chair, Blanca, Rodolfo,
Morning.
and everyone present. I just wanted to give a few words and let you know what an amazing employee that we have in Emma. Our entire staff we're very fortunate and very blessed. But I want to thank you all for this opportunity for us to recognize our employee Emma Alatorre. We were fortunate to have Emma transfer to our department in May of this year. She started as one of our frontline cashiers, and upon the transfer of one of our accounting technicians to our treasurer section in August, Emma applied for and was promoted to accounting technician in our unsecured tax division. Emma and her supervisor are primarily responsible for the collection of our unsecured property taxes, which are billed on personal property that is not secured to land. Most common in the state of California, I can let you know that property tax collection for the unsecured is at an extremely low rate. Emma and her supervisor have reached a collection rate this year of 92%, which is a very unprecedented rate. After last year's collection rate being at about 85.42%, to reach a 92% collection rate on an over $4.5 million tax roll is extremely something that they should be proud of, as well as everybody else should be proud of them. This is truly unprecedented accomplishment and a testament to the teamwork of Emma and her supervisor, Sylvia. We are very fortunate that Emma decided to transfer over to our department, and we look forward to having many more years of her service with us. So thank you for your time, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you. Again, congratulations, Emma.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alatorre. We're now continuing to the milestones for 5 years of service and a $75 Visa gift card. That's up with Social Services, Angelica Quintero, Diana Robinson from Planning, Damien Aguilera, District Attorneys, Alicia Torres from Behavioral Health, Colette Hurst, Public Health, Pamela Flores from District Attorneys, Twilight Johnson from District Attorneys, Leticia Galindo from Social Services, Ruben Soria, Sheriff's Office, Ofelia Barreras Cardoso, Social Services, Mark Schmidt from County Fire, Stephanie Burgos, Social Services, Lidia Tolar, Budget and Fiscal, Holly Arciniega, Social Services, Nina Lopez, Social Services, Alisa Ann Farrell, Behavioral Health, Gabriela Lizarraga Montelongo, Behavioral Health, Joanna Pinedo, Behavioral Health. For 10 years of service and a $150 gift card, Azucena Ramirez, Social Services. Mariela Gonzalez, Social Services. 15 years of service and a $225 Visa gift card. Marina Felix from Probation. Olga Contreras from District Attorneys. Ramon Beltran, Social Services. Sandra Zuniga, Social Services. Cristina Sevilla, Social Services. Alberto Valenzuela, Planning. Hilda Sepulveda, Public Health. Efraín Jacobo, Sheriff's Office. Jose Beltran, Social Services. Rachel Potter, Social Services. Ana Zazueta, Social Services. Claudia Arriola, Behavioral Health. Sylvia Ruelas, Sheriff's Office. Justin Burke, Sheriff's Office. Moving to 20 years of service and a $300 Visa gift card. John Cavanas from Social Services. Sandra Cano from ICWEDO. Ricardo Tapia Auja, Public Works. Melissa Valencia, Behavioral Health. Rosa de la Torres Perez, Social Services. Mireya Cuellar, Behavioral Health. Maria Elena Rodriguez Ramirez, Social Services. 20 years of service, again, $300 gift card. Nidia Ibarra Wiseman, Social Services. Melissa Moore, Social Services. 25 years of service and a $375 Visa gift card. Claudia De Leon, Social Services. That concludes our presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Arroyo, and congratulations to the employee of the month and the employees that have reached a milestone in their career with the county. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Might as well give to all of them a nice hand round of applause. Thank you, and we'll move to the,
We have
action
another.
order.
We have another announcement.
Okay,
Mr. Gil Reveler from the CEO's
sorry,
office.
Gil.
Apology accepted. So, yeah, so I know, a lot of issues have been, certain issues have been getting a lot of attention understandably, so the county continues still to operate all our departments and employees, and so, over the past few weeks, some of our county employees have been recognized, not just locally, but also across the state. First off is, the county is proud to announce that Supervisor Probation Officer Oswaldo Guerrero has been honored with the 2021 Chief Probation Officers of California Award of Excellence.
Is he here?
He is not here, he didn't even know, I just wanted to, get him on, just wanted to share with you. We did a press release, but I also wanted to share this with you. So the Chief Probation Officer of California sought out candidates nominated by the Chief Probation Officer from across the 58 counties of California for those officers and staff who have made a significant contribution to the field of probation. Since 2015, Officer Guerrero has worked with youth and families throughout our county with the wraparound services and community work services program. He's a great asset to our county and to our probation department. Even as I sent out to the release, a news reporter reached out to me to share her experience with him when she worked at the Ivy Dentistry Museum, and she had nothing but great things to say. So I just wanted to share that with you and the public. So congratulations to Officer Guerrero, Chief Prince, and his department. Also, another county employee that was we recognized this Thursday, but I barely found out about an hour ago, was Kelly Rana Singh from our county council's office. He was recognized by the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, for San Diego and Imperial counties with the Inspiration Award for Advocate of the Year. He's a NAMI Peer Connection Facilitator, a member of the NAMI Imperial Valley team, and a strong advocate of mental health awareness. You can watch those awards this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the NAMI San Diego YouTube channel and Facebook page. Then finally, we have Mrs. Jeanette Angulo. Ms. Angulo was recognized this weekend as one of this year's Las Primeras honorees, an award recognizing positive leadership in the Latina community. Proceeds from this event go towards scholarships and educational and cultural programs in our valley. I just want to share with you about her. Ms. Angulo is a Raleigh native who began her life working in the field with her family. I see Shelby and I see many others from the ag industry. I think they can respect and understand the hard work that goes into working in the field, especially at a young age. After graduating from Raleigh Union High School, which Raleigh Union High School began in Bellback this Friday, it's quite awesome, they didn't know that. Now you're turning on me. She enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, where she served 4 years, earned the rank of sergeant. I'll go back. I'll keep going forward. Right there. After serving, she spent an additional 5 years in the Reserve Corps. After that, She began her career with the county where she worked her way up to the position she currently holds as Director of the Imperial County Public Health Department. You can watch a virtual celebration on Mana's Facebook page. I'm gonna watch the video tomorrow night. You can watch it on the Mana Facebook page. I haven't watched the video, but I heard it's really good, so tune in tomorrow night. If you can go back to the previous picture, or next. Right there. So, you know, I just want to go back to this. You know, Mrs. Angulo is a veteran who served our country, and you know, over the past few weeks, I've seen her get interrupted, talked over, not allowed to finish her presentation. And I think that can, although the intention might not be, that can be taken as disrespect. And as things such as our Constitution, freedom, and concept of what America is being thrown around, I do want to remind everyone that she is a veteran who proudly served our country, which is something that a majority of us in this room can't say. No, many of you can. Although Supervisor Ryan Kelly will say that he was an Eagle Scout, and that's comparable. No, I agree with that, except him. But, so whether you agree or disagree with her as a veteran who has worked her way into the position she holds, I believe, as Chairman Kelly said, the utmost respect should be held for her as well for that. So, I hope we can have a good, productive dialogue, and just have some respect in this room as we kind of get into an item that's highly contentious. So, county employees being recognized throughout all this. So I just want to give a shout out to Officer Guerrero, Mr. Ramsey, and Mrs. Angulo. Thank you.
Congratulations to those county employees, very good. Now we'll move to the action calendar, discussion action regarding the review of the current masking requirements pursuant to 12th order dated August 17, 2021, as requested by Mike Kelly, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors. So, you wanna have a discussion before we go to open, on it? Kelly?
Sure. Eagle Scout's a great thing, Mr. Redwater. I've never equated it with serving on the military. You can keep thinking.
You're back here.
I said Eagle Scout's a great thing, but you can't equate it with military service. Can you hear?
That's better, thank
All right.
you.
Great. So, I know that we're gonna have a proposal, and we'll be discussing the indoor mask mandate for vaccinated in a few, but I do have some things I'd like to share. First is about heroes to villains. So, a year ago, healthcare was considered to be the heroes, the ones that were there when we were infirmed, or our family members were being, they were sick, they needed care, and there was somebody there. And today, they're being treated very disrespectfully. They're being accosted, assaulted, and the language that's being shared with them is nothing that you would allow in your home. And they're being treated like villains. So I would counsel all of you that are willing to listen to remember those times when we were all extremely worried about what this was going to be and how it was going to play out. And still hold them in the same regard that you had a year ago, because they're still doing it. It hasn't stopped. So lift them up, don't tear them down. And I'd like to share, before I share some other things, I'd like to share a proverb. Proverbs 3:13 through 18. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than the gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, conversation, a debate. The person next to you, your family member that has a different view, they're still your family member, they're still your friend, they're still your neighbor. Don't let that one disagreement be the divisive piece that separates us. Because if we stop listening to each other, then we're never gonna get anywhere. That'll tear us apart. Now, I'd like to share that I wrote a letter to Governor Newsom. And I did this on my own as a supervisor. And it was mailed. And I met with the governor's representatives yesterday and I delivered it to them. And I had expressed the concerns that I've heard. And I've also shared my views of what is happening. I'd like to read it for you. If I can find it. I had to do it. So, dear Governor Newsom, as a Imperial County Supervisor for District 4, I'm writing this letter to convey concern in our community over the recent vaccination mandates for children and employees. Our board meetings, as well as school district board meetings, have seen increasing attendance of citizens concerned about the implications of the state public health orders on their individual rights and their family health choices. For background, my family and I are vaccinated. We are practicing social distancing, wearing masks in appropriate settings. I'm engaged in vaccination clinics across Imperial County since January 2021, and I'll continue those efforts for the foreseeable future. I'm seeing our communities embracing the vaccination and practicing personal responsibility. As of this day, Imperial County fully vaccinated 87.7% of citizens over 11 years of age. And this would constitute herd immunity. We experienced 2 significant pandemic surges over the past 20 months and lost a great number of lives, 766 to this virus. We also rallied to protect ourselves and address the health disparity in Imperial County. Mr. Newsom, I don't envy your position, and on a smaller scale, empathize with the choices put before you. I truly believe you have good intentions, and your advisors are providing the best measures available. But those measures have social impacts. The changing recommendations during COVID-19 pandemic has confused the public and caused them to lose faith in science. Mask wearing guidance as an example. Science will have changing recommendations as new evidence becomes available. Public health should make recommendations, provide positions, even when the evidence isn't clear. But from a policy perspective, those positions need to be balanced against community health. As a policymaker, we should never stop talking about the recommendations, nor discourage open, honest debate. Mr. Newsom, I'm asking for a review of these mask and vaccination mandates for school and workplace settings. COVID-19 is part of our life, and infections will continue to rise and fall over the months and years ahead. But what can be said about the choices we make today? Encourage our communities to seek vaccination and wear masks in the appropriate setting. Ask Californians for assistance without threatening their beliefs or incomes. Should you have any questions, please contact me. My number, thankfully, Ryan Kelly. I shared this with the staff, the representatives, and it was mailed out. And I am hoping I share that with you. I did that as a supervisor. I'm happy to be able to speak for those that wanted to gather some focus on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Not public comment, we'll go to the audience for discussion on this item. Anybody have any questions, please?
Yeah.
Remember, 3-minute limitation, thank you.
First one is Chestnut.
All right, good morning, gentlemen. I do not envy your position, just like you don't envy the position of the governor. You kind of are in a thankless position right now, right? You're gonna make somebody unhappy. It's just kind of the nature of what you signed up for. But we want you to know that we are grateful that you're here listening to our voices and our concerns. I'm gonna read from some notes that I prepared, if that's okay for you. Empathize with all of the parents in the room who are passionately taking a stand against mandated vaccinations. School closures, mask mandates, and other cancellations, while uncomfortable, were all frustrations that we were willing to live with because we believe we could help flatten the COVID curve. This is what we were told. However, forcing unproven vaccination, one that Congress is exempt from taking, and one for which Icelandic nations have already suspended the use of due to increased risk of heart inflammation, is not something that should be acceptable. For many in this room, the risks of the vaccine far outweigh the risk of COVID. My father was vaccinated and suffered a major stroke just weeks later. He was paralyzed for 6 weeks. My grandfather was vaccinated and ended up with blood clots in his lungs and was in rehabilitation for 6 weeks. If I could liken COVID mandates to a football game, I feel as though we've been giving yardage this whole time, and we've already allowed the government, through their overreach, into our territory. With the latest vaccine mandate, our children, our backs are up against the goal line, and we have no choice but to dig in our heels and to hold this line. The truth is, we're defending this line of freedom, not only on our behalf, but on behalf of everyone, including those who are passionately in favor of vaccination. We stand up for their rights as well as our own to make medical decisions in their own households, for their families, and for those that they love. If we give in today, tomorrow the overreach of the government may be even more serious, may take even more freedoms, and unfortunately, tomorrow's lines of ceding those freedoms may be something that we are all uncomfortable having given up. I'd also like to say that it's a shame that the issue of vaccine mandates has been politicized and that education of our children has been weaponized and held hostage. Healthcare and education should not be political issues. They are fundamental human rights, especially in America. To this board, these meetings have been so full as of late because people are afraid. They're fearful of losing their jobs. They're scared for their children's futures. They're worried for health and the health of their families. And these frightened and often angry voices plead with you to be heard. I understand that these policies are decided upon at a state level and outside of your purview to some degree, but we are imploring you to help make our voices heard where it matters the most. We've elected you to be our voice and to represent our position. We need you now more than ever. One day, you may be forced to make some very difficult decisions about whether or not to enforce policies that unquestionably amount to government overreach. It is my hope and prayer that you will be bold enough to make these necessary choices and decisions when that time should arise. Know that if you will, I will be in your corner supporting you however possible. The issues before us are not just issues important to the church. The issues before you are much larger than a religious liberties issue. These are human rights and personal liberty issues that deserve to be enjoyed by all. We mustn't allow this discussion to become an us versus them discussion. We are all affected by these mandates together. To those who profess Christ in the room, please consider the spiritual nature of this struggle. Remain steadfast and passionate, but also kind and humble. Remember the words of the Apostle Paul, but if I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I become as a sounding brass and a clanging cymbal. Be careful that your message isn't lost amidst the noise. Pastor Larry Osborne once said, saying the right thing in the wrong way is dead wrong. And there's far more at stake today in this room than the health of our children, a mask mandate, or a vaccine mandate. The testimony of Jesus and his church is also at stake. Thank you all for listening, and may the Lord protect you all.
front of all of you. Where I would like to be is in my classroom with my second grade students, preparing them for third grade and continuing to work on their social, emotional needs. I did not take time off of work to be here today, because frankly, I never take time off of work to do anything besides the day I got married. Unfortunately, I'm here today with you because I'm forced to take sick leave when I am not physically sick. Last week, I was exposed to COVID by an individual in my classroom, and since I foolishly want to teach children how to read and had a 15-minute interaction with that individual closer than 6 feet, I have to wait 10 days to go back to work. Who does get to immediately return to school tomorrow or today is everyone else in the classroom, besides the positive individual. Like, for example, individuals who had a longer 6-hour interaction with the positive individual and even closer 2 feet apart from the individual. Since we have welcomed children back into the classroom late last year, we have not had one transmission on our campus from staff to student to student to student. Everyone that has tested positive was because of an interaction outside of the school, but yet I still have to wait 10 days to return. Please make it make sense to me. I just want to teach. I am currently being punished by having to use my own sick leave when I am not physically sick, but because I believe in medical freedom and bodily autonomy. I am being treated differently and less favorably from another group of people. You know, that's actually the definition of discrimination.
Amen.
Right now, my only punishment is using my sick leave, but I am scared to experience what will be coming for me next. I have mentioned that I'm not physically sick, but I have been suffering mentally since October 1st when my job was threatened from me. I very seldomly brag about myself because I have many flaws and I know I can do a lot of things better. But one thing that I can confidently say here before you is I am an amazing teacher. My main goal every single day in my classroom is for each and every child to feel loved by me, and that might be tragically ripped away from me soon. Do not sit there and tell us that we have to follow the policy or our hands are tied. You have people in this community, your community, that are hurting. I graciously ask you to help us by being a part of the fight, because I currently feel abandoned by people who work above me that get to make unscientific decisions about my livelihood that I work very hard for. One of you stated last week that you do not want people's livelihoods taken away from them. Well, it's happening now. I will leave you all with a verse from the Bible. And whoever does not receive you nor listen to your words, as you leave that house or city, you shake the dust off your feet. Matthew 10:14. God bless everyone in this room, and thank you. Nancy, meeting, please.
Good morning, board. Last week, you all heard us and how we feel, and I just have a question for you. You've had a week now to digest what you heard last Tuesday, and I'm wondering how you're feeling, what you thought about last week's meeting. What are you going to do? Have you made a decision on how to move forward to protect us? You just heard my sister-in-law, Azaria, speak about her job, and there's so many others out here. So, what are your thoughts? Do you have a plan on how you're going to move forward to fight for us here in the Imperial County?
Well, it's not a plan formulated yet. We're still digesting all the information that we are receiving and putting it all together to simply go forward.
Is it possible to maybe meet with other county supervisors and see if they're on the same page, if their constituents feel the same way, that maybe you could form a coalition with other supervisors and counties to go towards Newsom, because there are power in numbers?
That is a good plan. This board of supervisors are going to the same fact finding mission that we're going to from the constituents and from the community to find out the true and actual feelings on this issue. So, yes, there is more boards out there with the same issue.
Okay, well, I hope that you guys are getting together, formulating a plan. I know that your own county employees are here fighting this vaccination, and they're being fought for here. So I hope that you continue to fight for us, and I hope that our words last week, today, and forward aren't lost on you. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Taylor Smith?
Good morning, everyone. I was born and raised in Brawley, and in 2002 moved to San Diego State with the intention that I would never actually move back to Brawley. I kind of thought I'd want to be in the big city. And after becoming a father, getting married, buying a house in Escondido, my wife and I quickly realized that the one thing we were missing was, in fact, community. My wife's not from here. She had been down cattle calls, different events, and was just enthralled with everything that the Valley has to offer, and she was the proponent that actually convinced me to come back here. Just like Azaria mentioned, my wife is a teacher and is going through very similar things. We felt like we had found everything that we were looking for as parents. We had a community where the kids can play with kids that or people that I grew up with. You know, we loved the Valley, never intended to move. But with these mandates that are coming down, my wife, instead of, when we sit at the dinner table each night and we talk about our day, I see tears coming from her eyes. She cries herself to sleep at night, wondering, will I have a job? As a teacher that is unvaccinated, she is extremely healthy. I mean, is more health oriented than any person I know. I've never even known her to be sick in the 10 years that I've known her, not once. Yet, she's being told that every Friday she has to go do testing. We're okay with that, but I don't think that's going to stick for much longer. We're worried that there's going to be a forced vaccine mandate coming down the road, and with our kids that are very healthy, we're worried about that as well. Our ability to be parents is being threatened here. You're going to be looking at a mass exodus if we can't find someone to fight for our needs just to have the choice. We're not saying that one decision, one way or the other, has to be made. We just want the ability to choose. And if no one can stand up for us, there will be a mass exodus out of here. And Brawley, the Imperial Valley, is a community that has people here for generations that have been giving back, that are involved. I'm involved in a golf tournament that's been around 95 years. That's just one thing that I'm doing. You look around the room, I can look at different people and tell you things they've been doing that their families have been a part of. These families will be leaving. We've had a taste of other states and the freedom that they can offer. My in-laws moved to Tennessee. We have family all over the country that isn't going through these things that we're dealing with anymore. And I was willing to put up with it because of the family that you see in this room. But if we lose any more of our rights, I can't tell you that we're going to be here come January. And that is heartbreaking. I never want to leave this valley. Please fight for us and help us to stay here. Thank you.
Walter Cole?
Hi again. You know, I'd first say that even though I'm not vaccinated, I'm not anti-vaccination. My mother is vaccinated. I have staff that work for Christ Community Church and New Creations that have been vaccinated. Never once have I told them not to get the vaccination. I simply said, do your homework, make your decision. It's a matter of your own conscience. In fact, everyone I know who has not been vaccinated, to my knowledge, has not told others not to get vaccinated. But yet people like myself who are unvaccinated are being villainized by politicians and the media who believe we are incapable of making our own decisions. Somehow they now believe it's the unvaccinated that are the problem in our society and responsible for the ongoing virus. The lockdowns, mask wearing, social distancing, and now the vaccines haven't stopped COVID, so now the excuse is the unvaccinated. I have what's known as natural immunity, a phrase that many, including people like Governor Newsom, Dr. Fauci, and others in top leadership are trying to cancel from our culture. After having COVID myself, along with millions of others in this country, I have natural immunity. 2 recent blood tests prove as such, and the science is overwhelming now on the efficacy and durability of natural immunity. It's much more effective than a vaccine. I think what I find the hardest to believe about the entire pandemic is the science that's being ignored even by the CDC. When it comes to children, the published evidence is conclusive that the risk of severe illness or death from COVID-19 in children is almost nil, statistical 0, and this evidence has accumulated for well over a year now. It is clear that children are at very low risk, spreading the infection to other children. I have links to those tests. Research of spreading to adults is seen in household transmission studies. I have links to those studies. Or of taking it home or becoming ill or dying. And this is settled scientific global evidence. A team of Johns Hopkins researchers reported that when they looked at a group of about 48,000 children in the U.S. infected with the virus, they found 0 COVID deaths among healthy kids. Dr. McCary said his team worked with the nonprofit Fair Health to analyze health insurance data on approximately 48,000 children under 18 that were diagnosed with COVID. After studying comprehensive data on these thousands of children, the team found the mortality rate of 0 among children without pre-existing medical conditions such as leukemia. There is no mid or long-term studies that have proven there will be no health consequences from the vaccines. With COVID-19 is virtually no risk to children, then it would be reckless for parents to take a chance on injecting their children. The government, particularly Governor Newsom, has no right to replace the parent by mandating that children get the COVID vaccination or they can't go to school. When it comes to the mask, there was an article posted on Principia Scientific on a German study of 25,000 children that revealed the negative impacts on the physical, psychological, and behavioral health of children. The health issues and impairments observed in this study were found to affect 68% of masked children who were forced to wear a face covering for an average of 4.5 hours a day. The study also includes 17,854 health complaints submitted by parents. And I'm winding up right now with these stats. Some of the health issues found in the study include increased headaches, 53%, difficulty concentrating, 50%, drowsiness or fatigue, 37%, malaise, 42%. Nearly a third of the children experienced more sleep issues than they had previously, and a quarter of children developed new fears. The study also found that 29.7% of children experienced shortness of breath, 26.4% experienced dizziness, and hundreds of the participants experiencing accelerated respiration, tightness of chest, weakness, and short-term impairment of consciousness. Politicians and government officials have no right to try and force parents to violate their conscience that is rooted in solid scientific research. The government didn't carry our children in the womb, change their diapers, nor clothe, feed, or raise them. The government is not responsible for giving an answer to God for the care and protection of our children. The parents are.
Well, according to the rules, we've passed the time limit for public comment, but Chairman, I want to extend it for another 10 minutes, so when you make your presentation, limit it to 3 minutes, that way it gives other people more of an opportunity to address the board, so we will continue with addressing the board for another 10 minutes. So who's next, Madam Clerk?
Next one, we have John Pop.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you as a board for meeting with us last Tuesday night. I thought that was very, very well done. And I want to apologize if there was anybody that was offended by comments. But I do appreciate the fact that everyone was, for the most part, polite. And I appreciate you taking the time to turn the Kelly and calling the meeting. Mr. Ryan Kelly, I do appreciate your comments today. And I appreciate the fact that we all have an opinion and we honor each other's opinion. Let me talk briefly about what I might consider the constitutionality of these mandates. In Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, it makes it unlawful to discriminate against someone on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, pregnancy, sexual orientation, religion, etc. The Act also makes it unlawful to retaliate against a person because the person complained about discrimination, filed a charge of discrimination, or participated in an employment discrimination investigation or lawsuit. Title VII prohibits not only intentional discrimination, but also practices that have the effect of discriminating against individuals because of their race, color, national origin, etc. So my question is, are we being discriminated against because of not honoring the mandate? If I look at the armed services, they are being discriminated against if they don't take a shot. Okay? We look at government officials that are also discriminated against. So right now at the Supreme Court, there's a number of cases going forward. Let me read this. Our media, state, and OSHA are carrying out mandates that are unconstitutional as far as Title VII goes. It's discrimination. There are lawsuits presently going to the Supreme Court that are carrying huge implications of discrimination and loss of pay to Americans who simply disagree with this administration. Mr. Kelly, you mentioned that people are losing their pay, they're losing their retirements, if they choose not to follow these mandates. Now that is criminal right there. So at this point, we need to look at all sorts of ways that people in this county, and people that choose not to follow these mandates, are being discriminated against. So it makes you, government officials, the police, it makes the medical community the enforcer. That is not correct, okay? So I appreciate that. Someone mentioned Norway, Finland, and Sweden, and they have determined that yes, they have the flu, but they deal with it. They have a shot that's, 30% effective. They're learning to deal with it. They have COVID. They're learning to deal with it. But they have not shut down their economies. They have not shut down their schools. They have not discriminated against people that have chosen to go ahead and function as regular individuals. So we in Imperial Valley are asking you to stand for us and to fight for us, as was mentioned last Tuesday night. Okay? These countries have gone back to an opening up their economies. So here's my suggestion, maybe. If we really want to help our community, first of all, stand up for us. And I appreciate your letter to the governor. I don't know that he's listening, but you know, when we think about people that, you know, like, that want to do these mandates, we wonder if they're even constitutional. Okay? But here's something we can do in the meantime. If we want to help the people of Imperial Valley, why don't we work on things like how to fight diabetes, how to build our immune systems, and so that we can take it. And we don't need the shot, folks. I mean, but if you want to do it, that's fine. You have the right to do that. Anyway, I thank you for your time.
Dr. Brian Tyson.
Good evening, Board. And thank you for allowing me to be here. I kind of stepped away from kind of these public discussions because...
Go ahead and blame the other one, that way you don't have to wrestle.
So let me just be brief. I own 3 urgent daycares, 2 in the Imperial Valley. I also own 2 restaurants here in Imperial Valley, Inferno restaurants. I have taken care of over 6,000 positive patients between me and my staff. We have a track record of not losing a single patient when their treatment started before day 7. I'm part of the National COVID Task Force. I'm part of the International COVID Alliance. I'm also part of the Pandemic Task Force, and I personally know the Surgeon General of Florida. I've been involved with COVID treatment, guidelines, research with people from Yale, from people from MIT, from people from Harvard, from people from UCLA, Johns Hopkins, okay? And to date, not one person from the board, not one person from public health has reached out to get my opinion on any of these mandates. Okay? You have expert opinions, okay, and experience right in front of you. Between me and Dr. Fareed, we can help you guys formulate a response to help protect our community. Okay? A couple of principles to fight on. Number 1, there is still no FDA-approved vaccine. Number 2, okay, the state of emergency clearly is over. And so all government mandates go away. If you can fire doctors, and you can fire nurses, and you can fire everyone on the front line for not being vaccinated, then there is no healthcare emergency at this time. Okay? State of emergency orders from the governor then go away. The mandates then go away, and we deal with things at the county level. Okay? That's what we need to do. The last thing is, if you can still get COVID from a vaccine, you can still spread COVID from a vaccine, then it becomes a personal health issue, not a public health issue. I offer my services to each and every one of you. I will come to a meeting. I will sit down with each one of you. I will devise strategies with you to help protect our community, but you guys have to give me the opportunity. You gave 2 doctors last week an opportunity to do presentations, okay? One of them was a urologist, and another one has never taken care of kids. Okay? I've taken care of kids from 2 months. I've taken care of pregnant women. I've taken care of adults all the way up to 102 years old. And guess what? They all live. Yeah. My services are available. Just please ask for them. Okay? I'm at the urgent care. I'm in El Centro. That's where my home is. Anyone can find me there. All of these people know that.
We're running out of time. We got 2 more. One guy's on Zoom. The next person online will be on the right time.
Mike Mistrell, participating through Zoom.
Can you hear us, Mike? You're on mute. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time. And as a concerned parent, spouse of an educator, and a child, obviously, with asthma and a citizen of the county, I definitely agree wholeheartedly with Dr. Tyson. Going back to the actual mask mandates, just like he said, the Surgeon General in Florida, who is a Harvard-trained doctor, Dr. Joseph Lopato, he himself says that there is no data supporting mask mandates in schools. but yet we're going to continue to do that. Multiple dentists and oral maxillofacial surgeons, however, have brought up what is called masked mouth. There's impacts of masks on the oral health of everyone, including our children, creating negative implications to their health that's going to last a lifetime. This includes increased tooth decay, inflamed gums, gum disease, a gum disease that is irreversible and can require care for the rest of an individual's life. That damages the bones and the gum structure in the mouth. However, there will be no symptoms until later. This will be something that we will be fighting as well. There's also issues with disrupted breathing patterns and dehydration and recycling air. The recycling air when you're wearing the mask traps more carbon dioxide in the mouth. This, however, is not causing a toxicological effect on the body, but it is increasing oral microbes and acidity, which put your mouth and overall health with inflammatory gum disease at risk. So this is something that we need to look at on behalf of our children. In reference to the vaccine, I also agree with Dr. Tyson. This is something that's being forced. I was listening to the FDA on their 170th episode, I guess you'll call it, and there's many people coming out saying that there are multiple issues. The case study size is too small, and there are individuals that are still having adverse reactions. This vaccine does not prevent the transmission of COVID, nor does it prevent getting COVID. Therefore, putting our children at risk is not worth it. This is the sovereignty of our own bodies. This is the line in the sand. Once we give that up, what more can we go and fight for? We can never go up against the government and say something that's being done is incorrect. Because once we have allowed them to take over the sovereignty of our own bodies and our children's bodies, there's nothing that we can ever fight for again. The CDC and the FDA, unfortunately, also do not coordinate well with each other or know what's going on. Right now, they want you to start taking booster shots. They want this mix and match approach. However, right now, still on the CDC's webpage, it has the understanding of mRNA vaccines, and it specifically stated, October 18, 2021, COVID-19 vaccines are not interchangeable. If you receive a Pfizer, BioNTech, or Moderna COVID vaccine, you should get the same product when you need another shot. Obviously, they are not following the science. Please do not force these unconstitutional, unscientific mandates on the people of Imperial County. Thank you.
One more.
Kim Estrada?
I was going to have time, but I'm grateful for it. Good afternoon. I wanted to open with a story of an experience I had in early years that taught me the value of truth. So if you'll just bear with me. One day in my life as a third grader, my teacher wanted to teach us a valuable lesson. And she called on two students to go outside, which happened to be myself and another classmate. While we were outside, she drew two distinct lines on the chalkboard. The first line was extremely long, and the second line was short. She then proceeded to call each one of us back into the classroom one at a time. My classmate went first, and I was called into the classroom next. The first thing my teacher pointed to was the chalkboard, and she asked me which line was the longest. I pointed to the first one that was obviously the longest, and to my surprise, the whole class disagreed with me. What I didn't know was that the entire class was instructed to lie. Even so, I could see the obvious truth that the first line was the longest. I couldn't pretend otherwise. And finally, after some time of debating, I was let in on what they were trying to do and was encouraged that I held on to the truth in the face of massive pressure from both my teacher and peers. I also found out that my classmate who had gone through the same scenario before me had caved into the pressure. Today I see a war on truth. a value that is important to me because it matters. It impacts reality for us and those around us. The truth is that there are laws that protect our God-given bodily autonomy and religious rights. The truth is that there can be devastating side effects to these COVID vaccines, as you've heard. The truth is there's little evidence to support the efficiency and safety of continual masking in these experimental vaccines. The truth is that we have access to effective prophylactics. The truth is that the emergency was under the guise that there was no medications that could help. The truth is that the emergency use authorization is needed to keep funding the pharmaceutical companies and those tied to them. The truth is Israel's death toll rose in lockstep with their third boosters. The truth is that CDC Director Rochelle Walensky has suggested that the definition of fully vaccinated may be subject to change now that the booster shots are becoming widely available. So I don't know if any of us will ever be fully vaccinated with these continual rollouts. All right? And now we have a moral obligation to stand against tyranny and lawlessness, even when it isn't popular. And last, I will leave you with this. The truth is present, it's available, it's in front of our faces. We can give into the pressure and succumb to those around us who wish not to acknowledge truth, or we can stand for what we know to be true. There must be choice for what we put in or allow onto our bodies. Otherwise, all kinds of evils can be justified for the greater good. As for me, I will continue on with a valuable lesson I learned in 3rd grade, and I will stand for truth as long as I live.
One more speaker, and then we'll bring it back to the board. One more speaker, please.
Can we request Ashley gets to speak? She's here and I shared her story with you. I think everybody needs to hear that.
Where's she at?
There she goes. She took off already. There she is.
Hi, my name is Ashley Rodriguez. I was not prepared to speak. I was a 3rd grade teacher, and I'll just read this. Give me 1 second. I apologize, I wasn't ready.
I'm sorry, Ashley.
This.
That's okay.
I've been blessed to be doing what I love for the past 7 years, teaching. In all those years, many parents have become friends, and many students have become like family. I've helped countless children to learn, grow, and look forward to their futures. I've always been proud of my profession and have always received positive feedback on my approach to teaching. I never thought I would ever say the words, last week was my first day of unpaid leave. Now I find myself being shunned and forced out of my job for doing what I have always done, standing up for what is right and for my convictions. I submitted my religious exemption from the vaccine and testing, and it was denied. I asked for alternative accommodations for screening, and I was denied. No reasonable accommodations exist. I declined to be subjected to irresponsible and unethical methods of screening, and I'm not allowed to return to work until I go against my strongly held beliefs and submit to the will of someone other than my God. I know I'm not alone. Statewide, there's thousands of children and workers that are being forced out, discriminated against, and harassed until they submit. I will submit no more. My hope is that more people like me will unite and show that we will be bullied no more. We are stronger together, and if more of us say no more, they will have to listen. One voice can be silenced. Thousands will rise against our school board of supervisors, the county board of supervisors, and straight into the state capitol. Together, our voices will not ring on deaf ears. No more waiting to see what they will do next when we already know what they are doing now. If we all stop, say no to testing, say no to the vaccines, they'll feel the impact of the void that they are creating. Let's bring common sense back into our schools in California together. Thank you.
I remember, 12 back to the
first meeting we've had in 2 years, so I'm really looking forward to this. I can relate to a lot of the statements that have been made, experiences, because it's happened in my family. I have 5 kids, 17 grandkids, and a lot of them are being impacted by these mandates by the state, and so I get stories from them, and it bothers me that there's nothing we can do, but I think there is, and we can speak up. And I agree with some of the comments Supervisor Kelly mentioned about herd immunity. I really think we've reached that point. So we do have herd immunity, and there's a lot of people that are walking around that have the natural immunity to this COVID. So I promise you I'll be that voice in Sacramento with our state association and counties. We'll fight for you. Promise.
I was thinking the same thing, Supervisor Steele, about the CSAC, statewide involvement with all county board of supervisors. I'm sure that should be a hot discussion that should be going on now. So I think that the time is, because I know for a fact, I've spoken with the board of supervisors from Butte County, Shasta County, many counties, and they're all dealing with the same thing, the feeling of the pressure from the governor. And a lot of people, majority of people are opposing it, so I think that's a good topic to bring up and really dig our heels in to discuss it. Any other board member? Well, we did discuss the mask mandated, and we'll turn it over to our Director of Health Department, Jeanette Angulo. Jeanette?
Good morning, honorable board members, Chairman Jeanette Angulo, Imperial County Public Health Director, and today we don't have any slides for you. What we wanted to talk about is some recommendations that we have for the board. Besides, data monitoring, as you know, we take care of many other things in our community related to emergency services, securing much needed supplies, medical staff, etc. But today we're here to talk about what we're seeing with our data and some recommendations that we have. For that, Dr. Steve Monday, he's going to go over some of our trends and some of the suggested recommendations. Dr. Monday?
Thanks, Jeanette. Good morning, Mr. Chair and honorable board members and distinguished guests. So as Director Mgula said, we were asked to look at the data and make some recommendations with regard to the local masking order and where the data are going. And just so that we're all starting from the same place, the local order is in alignment with the state order, except that for indoor public settings, we have a universal masking requirement regardless of vaccination status, whereas the state order requires masking for those that are unvaccinated and strongly recommends it for others. So we looked to see what the trends within our data from the county were, and I'd just like to share the following. I would note that although we've definitely seen some improvement, which we're very excited about, it's not a perfect straight line. Things tend to go up and down a bit, but we're sort of looking at the general trend, and what we have found is that there's been a bit of a downward trend in our case rates since September 26th, a downward trend in general in our positivity percent since the end of August. Our hospitalizations have trended downward from COVID since about the 10th of September, and the current census for COVID has been stable. I will note, as we've discussed in previous sessions, that our hospitals are greatly impacted in general. It's not just about COVID. We have had some significant staffing challenges, and I just want to say thank you for the amazing work that they've been doing in order to try to deal with those challenges. But in general, they've definitely made some improvements and are doing better. The other thing that I would note is that vaccination rates, as everyone knows, in Imperial County have been very high. And as of the 26th, about 82% of our eligible population is fully vaccinated. So all of those, of course, mean that we're seeing trends that we want to see, but we'd like to see them improve even more. Some things that have just happened within the last week or two that I think are really important because it affects what's going to happen going forward. There are now recommendations for booster doses for all 3 of the available vaccines in the United States. And so for those people who are high risk and choose to do so, they can actually get an additional dose. The other thing we'll note is that the age recommendation for who would be eligible to become vaccinated is about to expand again, so that for those who would like to have their children vaccinated, all the way down to the age of 5, they can choose to do so. And we expect that actually to be in place within the next couple of weeks. So we see all of these as positive trends which allow us to look at our mask mandate and other public health measures in place and to make some recommendations. So because of the fact that we feel that there's been an improvement in the trends, because we feel that additional safety measures and the ability for people who choose to do so can get additional doses or get their first vaccines in the weeks to come, we would like to propose that we align the local health officer order with that of the state, meaning that there would be no additional requirements and we would default to the state health officer order. And our proposed date is November the 22nd at 11:59 p.m. So
Why not now?
November 23rd, that everything would align with what's in the state health officer order. I would just note that although we will be recommending to change the local order, because the state order will still be in place, the state order does have certain mandates, which of course have been the topic of today's conversation. And those are that in all indoor public settings, for those that are unvaccinated, people are supposed to still use a mask. And then there are some settings in which masking is required universally, regardless of vaccination status. Obviously, we've had some discussion with regard to schools. That is still in the state order. There's a requirement in certain transportation situations. So, for example, if you're going to be flying somewhere using a train, on a ship, if you're going to be in a cab or Lyft or Uber, it's required in those settings. And then there's certain congregate settings as well, where we've just seen really large outbreaks because of the nature of the interactions that people have there, such as detention centers and corrections. So for all the reasons that I just noted, again, our proposal would be that we would align the local order at the end of the day, 11:59 on November the 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Can we request he starts showing up here? He's paying $357,300. Bingo! Woo!
There, our discussion of over yours. I'll bring it back to the board for any action here.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I motion that we lift the indoor mask mandate for vaccinated people effective November 1st, 1 week from now.
Mr. Monday, or I'm sorry, Dr. Monday or Jeanette, I don't know which one of you wants to tackle this, but so the reasoning of going 30 days out, or about 30 days out would be, could you bullet point those benefits?
Sure, I'll make some comments, and I'm sure Jeanette would like to add to it as well. So the first thing, of course, is it gives people time to prepare for the changes. Obviously, our healthcare system so that they can, if they need to implement any policies, get additional PPE, provide additional abilities for people who aren't already vaccinated who would like to do so. wanted to give them time to prepare. The same, as I noted, there have been some very recent and ongoing changes with regard to the vaccination recommendations, which includes the additional doses of boosters for all 3 of the vaccines for many of the groups who already had been vaccinated. And then in addition, the fact that we're anticipating that within the next week or so, that the vaccination age limit for Pfizer is going to be lowered to the age of 5. And so that would allow for the distribution of those vaccines so that those parents who would choose to vaccinate their children would be able to do so. And that would just give extra time for preparation.
All right, thank you. Is there a second for that motion?
Just on the back.
Okay, we have.
Will you repeat the motion, please?
Yeah.
The motion is to lift the indoor mask mandate for vaccinated people effective November 1st, 2020.
In other words, to align with the state requirements.
The only action that we have direct control over is the indoor mask mandate for vaccinated people. So, yes.
Did you want to have a caveat there, recommend that people elect to continue to mask that feel strongly recommended?
There is a ongoing, continuing CDC, CDPH recommendations that indoor masking of all people, and that is continued. We can encourage anyone that is comfortable and wants to, and wants to do it for their friend, neighbor, or family member to use a mask. And that was what we were doing before, after June 15th, and that's where I think we should go back to.
All right, we do have a motion and a
Chair,
second.
comment?
Any more discussion, Mr. Escobar?
If we're gonna go a motion against our public health and our public health director requirements, I would like for it to be verbal, because we are going against their recommendation, and that is completely incorrect, and we need to do a verbal versus a point the finger. We have to have the cojones to support our local health officials, and if we're not, we have to do it verbally.
Well, before we go any further, is there a deep concern with November the 1st, Dr. Monday or Jeanette?
Yes, and it's all that what Dr. Monday just mentioned, and it's also about the children and the opportunity for those parents that want to get their children vaccinated today. And there's a meeting today, and processes more than likely will wrap up by the end of the week, and us vaccine providers are gearing up to provide that service and that vaccine to the parents of children that, again, want them tested. And we are building a gap. We're building some time so that there's that opportunity for, again, those parents to get their children vaccinated. So there is that concern, and I still highly encourage that the board, lift the mask mandate on 11:59 on November 22nd.
Just a comment by me. We represent the entire community of Imperial County. I have no problem with waiting until November the 11th to lift the mask mandate, because I want it to be lifted. And that's only a couple more weeks than what we're going. But, we have to give everybody the opportunity, and we're representing the entire county, so I support the November the 11th lifting of the mask.
November 22nd.
No one said 11th, November 23rd, the 23rd. First.
That would be 11:59, November 22nd, so effective November 23rd. That's where it would be.
We got a cattle call coming.
The motion is on the floor for the first.
Yeah.
You're deciding right now for the
And
second.
we're trying to discuss if you will allow us, thank you. So I am happy to endorse, aligning to the state mandate, but not without giving some preparation time. So, I would offer a friendly amendment to your motion if you would take it to align to the date, and I'd be happy to endorse, and vote in favor of the motion. Otherwise, with a shorter date, I can't do that. We need to give people to prepare. I know that we have a group of people here who are very adamant about doing it now, but the same way that, and I think one of you said it, on the microphone, several of you said on the microphone, how can I tell my children I didn't do what was right for them? There's parents out there that they believe vaccination is right, and they want the time to do that as well.
Shepherd leads his whole herd, not half of it.
And this would offer them the opportunity to do so.
They can still wear it, they're not taking their right away. They can still get a badge.
What about all the counties around
They're
us
for
that
it.
are open? All the counties around us are open, we're the only ones closed. Go to Indio, go San Diego, anywhere you want, it's open.
Did you have a suggested date, Mr. Van Target?
Yes, aligning with the recommendations of Dr. Monday.
We would also respect Dr. Monday more if you dress us in, it's TV, guys. You asked me to be respectful, I
Please,
can't
please,
respect somebody who's
let
not
me,
here.
let me be clear about Dr. Monday and Ms. Angulo. I asked them to not be present in these meetings because of direct, verbal accusations that were happening to them. That was me. I asked them so that they would not be a focal point for anyone. So please, if you wanna take it out on me.
He never should have threatened me with a stick, sir.
Okay, let's get back here. We got a motion on the floor, we have a second, and any more discussion on it?
I do not accept the amendment, so I would call for the vote on it.
Thank you.
All right, well, please vote.
Is it verbal? You want verbal, you want?
I have no problem with taking a yes, no.
Say again?
Verbal, yeah.
All right, roll call, please.
District 1?
No.
District 2?
No.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
So, motion carries 22. That's correct, Madam Clerk?
Correct.
Item 13, discussion action regarding the following